15 haunted accounts revealed. Spine-chilling true tales of sinister secrets and unexplained horror. The walls of Sarah's new home in Maplewood whispered with secrets. Shadows twisted and turned with the fading light, stretching endlessly like dark fingers reaching for her. As she unpacked boxes, a cold draft fingered through her hair, sending shivers down her spine. She glanced back at the kids Lily and Noah giggling in a corner, eyes sparkling with innocent terror, oblivious to the chill that wrapped around Sarah's heart. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The creaks and groans of the century-old house intensified, each sound echoing like a sinister laugh, as if the very structure craved to prey on her fear. Every night, Sarah would lie awake, a racing heartbeat drowning out her thoughts. Flickering shadows danced on the walls. Each time she closed her eyes, she felt unseen eyes staring back, their existence as palpable as the weight of dread pressing down on her chest. The laughter of her children was a stark contrast to her rising anxiety. They made an imaginary friend, Maggie. Sarah's stomach churned. Children's imaginations could be wild, but this felt different. Many an evening, Noah would come to her, wide-eyed. "What if Maggie takes us away?" he whispered, and her blood ran cold. The next day, Sarah reached out to the neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, a sweet woman with a penchant for gossip. In a hushed tone, she dropped the bomb. "The Morgans who lived here before? They ran, left everything behind." A hollow pit formed in Sarah's stomach. What had they fled from? Her questions met polite smiles that felt like daggers. "You're just getting settled, dear. Don't let your imagination run wild." As night crept in again, the ambience transformed. Her children's chatter grew more unsettling. "Maggie says the trees talked to her." Lily giggled innocently, while Noah's serious face countered, "But Maggie doesn't want us to tell Mommy." Sarah's heart raced. Paranoia nipped at her heels. She felt that in her bones something was wrong. She called the police one evening after hearing loud thudding in the attic, only to have them laugh lightly, as if her concerns were mere figments of a frightened mind. Their dismissive grins made her feel like she was teetering on the edge of reality. If nobody believed her, who would protect her? Dr. Hayes, their kind, approachable pediatrician, gradually infiltrated her thoughts. Yes, he treated Lily's fevers and Noah's allergies. But was there something lurking behind his warm smile? Whispers about his old practice clung to the town like mildew. An accident here, a disappearance. There was this benevolent doctor truly trustworthy? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Devilish shadows waited, lurking in each nook of her house. The children's voices had grown louder, laughter twisting into maniacal echoes about Maggie. Dread seeped in like a tide, washing over Sarah. The attic beckoned, a chasm of hidden terror. When she climbed the creaky stairs, she found a dusty scrapbook. Gasping as she flipped the pages, she discovered the Morgans' desperate attempts to escape. News clippings of vanished children and sinister stories unfurled before her eyes. The walls seemed to pulse with a fear that intertwined with her very being. And then, from behind her, she heard the softest whisper of footsteps. "Mommy, she is coming for us." Her breath hitched in her throat. Who was coming? The echo of Noah's words hung in the air, thickening the dread that had already gripped Sarah. She turned slowly, heart pounding like a drum in her chest, facing the darkness that swirled behind her. The attic was a black void, an abyss swallowing light and hope alike. "Maggie?" Sarah called out, her voice trembling, hoping it was just her son's imagination at play. But the silence that followed felt alive, vibrating with menace. The chilling draft wrapped around her, pulling at her skin, whispering secrets she didn't want to hear. She barely registered the flickering light bulb above her, casting a sickly yellow hue that only deepened the shadows. "Maggie," she repeated, desperation threading through her words. The scrapbook slipped from her fingers, hitting the wooden floor with a soft thud. Pages fluttered, revealing more clippings, more ghastly stories, no longer mere accounts, but warnings crafted from sorrow. "Maggie wants to play with us." Lily sang out from the room below, the innocence in her voice contrasting the horror resting in Sarah's heart. What does she want? Sarah found herself whispering to the dark, as if hoping for a response. A rustling sound from the far corner of the attic made her pulse quicken. She squinted into the inky shadows, heart racing, searching for whatever lurked just out of sight. Had something moved? Or was her mind playing tricks? Mommy. Lily's giggle floated up, bright and sickeningly sweet. Maggie says it's time for a tea party. Sarah clenched her fists, feeling the horrible panic clawing at her insides. Come here, you guys, she shouted, voice breaking, demanding them to join her. Footsteps padded softly on the stairs, her children echoing her anxiety but too enthralled by their new friend to consider danger. Noah, with his wild hair and wide eyes, peered at her, as if both excited and fearful. She's waiting, Mommy. Where? Sarah grabbed them, pulling them closer. Their warmth against her was both comforting and terrifying. Tell me where, Noah. He pointed toward the small window at the end of the attic, curtains fluttering like ghosts in the chill breeze seeping through the cracks. Maggie says the trees want to talk to us. Air caught in Sarah's throat as she turned again to look at the window, the darkened branches reaching up like skeletal fingers, stretching, scraping against the glass with eerie persistence. Hiking her voice, she called, I need you guys to stay near me. Now. Creeping dread filled the corners of her mind as she began to back away toward the ladder. The attic felt like a living entity now, the overwhelming sense that it wanted something from her children. Suddenly, a cold laugh erupted from the shadows, echoing sharply against the walls. It was a sound that sent waves of nausea through her. Maggie's hungry, the voice taunted, heavy and sweet like syrup. In one swift movement, Sarah forced her kids down the ladder, feeling the icy breath of the attic behind her. They reached the landing, but the house groaned in protest, the old wood creaking ominously as if challenging them to leave. Mommy, where's Maggie? Lily chirped, still oblivious to the panic filling Sarah's heart. The light flickered violently, plunging them into darkness for the briefest moment before blasting back to life. With it came an unbearable weight of dread. She's right behind us, the voice whispered again, cold and dripping with malice. Sarah's feet jolted forward, almost as if propelled by a primal fear, her hands gripping the children tightly as they sprinted down the hallway. Their echoing footsteps were soon drowned by a slow, rhythmic tapping that seemed to follow them, persistent as the pulse in her ears. Each step brought her closer to safety, but the sound remained, closer and closer, constructing a horrifying rhythm, a sinister countdown. Desperation filled her as they reached the front door, and she fumbled with the lock. It opened, but not into freedom. Maggie's here, Noah whispered, voice trembling. And outside, a shadowy figure awaited them, silhouetted against the darkening trees. Arms stretched open, the outline of a child smiling wide. Come join our party. As Sarah's heart raced, a dreadful realization crept over her. There was nowhere left to run. The whispers grew louder, wrapping tightly around them as they stood frozen, the darkness waiting hungrily. What was going to happen next? Would they succumb to Maggie's game? The atmosphere thickened, the air buzzing with an electric sense of dread as the shadow stepped closer. Sarah could barely breathe. The silhouette of the figure seemed to grow, morphing into a twisted version of a little girl, her eyes dark hollows, mouth stretching too wide in an unsettling grin. Maggie Noah's voice trembled, and Sarah felt the chill of her son's fear seep into her bones. The girl's laughter was a haunting melody, high-pitched and tinkling, yet filled with a darkness that chilled Sarah's heart. Come play, came the sing-song voice that oozed mockery and delight, luring with its sweetness. We have so much fun waiting for you. Sarah's grip tightened around her children's hands. We need to go back inside, she shouted, but her words barely made it past the surge of terror building within her. The children's excitement hung thick in the air, blurring the line between their innocence and the encroaching evil. But, Mommy, she's so friendly. Lily beamed, entirely enchanted, as if the lights of reason had dimmed in her bright blue eyes. No, don't listen to her. Sarah's voice cracked as she tried to pull them back. The moment felt like being trapped in a nightmare where every instinct screamed danger, but the children remained blissfully unaware. Their laughter contrasted the cloying dread strangling her thoughts. The shadow twinkled and swirled as if delighted by Sarah's fear. You'll get to see me play all day. I promise, It will be the best game ever. With an animalistic desperation, Sarah yanked Noah and Lily toward the door again, but it slammed shut, seeming to lock them out of safety. The darkness of the night was alive now, swirling around them like a thick fog. Sarah felt it pushing against her, filling her mind with horrific thoughts. "Let us in," she screamed, pounding on the wooden door, her heart thundering. But the only response was a sinister chuckle that echoed around her, mocking her attempt to reach refuge. "Maggie's not mean, she just wants to play," Noah murmured, his voice small, a fading light. "Noah, listen to me," Sarah pleaded, panic turning her words into desperate gasps. "Maggie isn't real. She's just in our heads, a trick the house is playing on us." The girl shimmered, her form rippling like water as she leaned forward, her voice seductive. "Why would I play tricks? I want to be your friend. No, we have to get away from her." The fire of determination ignited within Sarah. She felt her children resist, their small hands trying to wriggle out of her grasp. But she wouldn't let go. The knocking from the door now sounded like a heartbeat, echoing louder as the figure moved closer. "Maggie is my friend. I don't want to go home," Lily insisted, fear draped in a sense of loyalty toward a being they had only just met. "No." Sarah's voice lifted above the chaos, filled with the fierce need to protect. "We have to fight. We can't let her take you." The trees roared back with wind, branches swaying violently. The laughter rippled through the air, intertwining with the darkened whispers of the night. "You can't fight what you cannot see, but I can show you." Before Sarah could react, the shadows coiled around her, a slithering mass of darkness that clung like chilling fingers. It pushed against her, pulling her to the ground. The weight was suffocating, dragging her down while she struggled to hold on to her kids who were still fighting to escape her grasp. "Mommy!" The shrieks from her children filled her ears, and she felt her heart shatter with each cry. The darkness laughed again, that horrible sound enveloping them all. There was nowhere to run. The world around her spun into chaos as the shadows swirled, and Sarah realized everything depended on her to choose: surrender or fight, love or abandon. Which path would she take when Maggie's true nature revealed itself? Just as the shadows were about to consume her, a cold whisper threaded through her mind. "Open the door, it's your turn to play." And with that chilling offer echoing in her ears, Sarah's heart raced, caught between choices with each second slipping away into a suffocating silence. What awaited on the other side of the door? What if the game was just beginning? The shadows twisted tighter, constricting around Sarah as she felt the cold seeping into her skin. Panic surged like a tidal wave through her veins, drowning her thoughts as she fought against the bind, pulling with every ounce of her strength to keep her children close. Their innocent faces, framed by fear and confusion, pierced through her fog of dread like sharp glass. "Maggie!" Noah cried, his voice cracking, shattering the air like fragile porcelain underfoot. "Play with us." "No," Sarah screamed, her voice raw, desperation clawing at her throat. But the shadows only chuckled, burbling and shifting, as if they reveled in her anguish. Her heart pounded heavily, each beat echoing with the weight of impending doom. "Let go of us, you monster!" she shouted, fury igniting within her. She had to protect her children. She was their mother, their shield. Just then, the door behind her creaked. The ominous sound wrestled her attention away from the darkness wrapping around them. It was ajar, a flicker of warmth seeping through the slight opening, but it was not enough to dispel the suffocating chill of the night. "Mommy, let's go inside," Lily cried, a terrified whimper mixed with desperate hope. "Not without you," Sarah said, her voice fierce. She turned to the shadow child, who now stood impossibly close, grinning wider still, displaying teeth that glimmered like pearls in the murky darkness. "Mommy's just scared," Maggie's voice rang out, softer now, syrupy sweet. "We can have so much fun together. Can't you hear the game's whispering? Just let go, no?" Sarah insisted, channeling her fear into a defiant shield. The darkness swirled around them, a vortex of chilling whispers that slithered into Sarah's mind. Images flickered like broken film reels. A past life, other families, children laughing before they vanished. Faces merged with shadows, a harmonized symphony of lost souls. "Enter the game," it hissed, drenched in seductive malevolence. The ground beneath her quaked, a tremor of dread that sent vibrations up her spine, making her chest tight. "Hold on," she shouted, yanking her children in closer. Suddenly, the laughter turned sinister, a cacophony of taunting glee that resonated through the night. There was a pulse to it, a rhythm like a heartbeat. "Feel it?" Maggie whispered. "So many have played before you, so many will play after." The shadow girl's form flickered, illuminating for a fleeting moment the hollow skull-like face of those who had been trapped before them. "Noah! Lily! Look at me!" Sarah yelled, her voice commanding. She fought with everything within her. "We're getting out of here." But with every second, the shadows tightened their grip, relentless in their quest for submission. Sarah could feel her courage fraying as the darkness filled her lungs. "Maggie wants us to stay," Noah murmured, now sounding more enchanted than frightened. "Maggie's not your friend," Sarah cried desperately, her eyes darting between her children and the swirling mass of shadows. Each second that passed felt like an eternity, and the power of the darkness pushed her back, threatening to steal her will. As if sensing her faltering resolve, the shadows writhed with renewed fury. "Open the door, accept our game." It sounded almost seductive, a promise wrapped in fear. "Mommy!" Lily screamed, tears spilling down her cheeks. Just as the shadows surged forth, an unstoppable wave crashing down, a blinding light flared, illuminating their surroundings. "Quick!" Sarah yelled, and with a lurch of adrenaline, she flung herself toward the door. But would she be able to cross the threshold before the darkness consumed her? On the other side of that door, truths awaited that would shake her to her core. If they survived what horrors lay beyond, would they find safety or a deeper nightmare? Would they be trapped in the game forever? The door swung open with a violent creak, revealing a narrow hallway bathed in a cold blue light. It was surreal, as though they had stepped into another world altogether. The shadows swirled behind them, gnashing like teeth, desperate to reclaim their lost prey. "Run!" Sarah shouted, thrusting her children through the doorway, her heart pounding in sync with the monstrous drumming of the darkness they had left behind. The air inside was stale, heavy with a scent that reminded her of decay and despair. She pulled Noah and Lily along, their small hands gripping hers tightly. Each step felt like wading through thick mud, as though the very ground was unwilling to let them escape. "Where are we?" Lily whimpered, her voice a fragile thread unraveling in the oppressive atmosphere. "I don't know, but we're safe," Sarah replied, though a doubt gnawed at her. Her instincts screamed that they had only traded one horror for another. As they advanced deeper into the hallway, the light dulled, flickering like a dying heartbeat. Doors loomed along the sides, each one an identical, painted face of cold wood. It was like a prison, a maze built just for them. Shadows stretched and shrank along the walls, whispering incoherent frights that wormed into Sarah's mind. "Maggie is still there," Noah murmured, his eyes glazed. "She wants us to play. Stay away from her," Sarah shouted, anger bubbling up. She gripped his hand harder, feeling his warmth slip slightly. "You hear me? She's not our friend." They rounded a corner, and the sound of a child's laughter echoed down the hall. It was sweet, yet somehow wrong, twisted. "It's just a game. Just a game." It tinkled softly, mocking the trio's plight. "No, no, no," Sarah urged her children, quickening her pace. They stumbled forward, but so did the weight of the terror behind them, a hungry presence, clawing to pull them back. It was an unseen specter, whispering taunts that mingled with laughter. "Mommy, let us play." Maggie's voice rang out again, now echoing from all directions. "Join us. Don't you want to be happy? Keep moving," Sarah hissed, a chill creeping into her bones. The end of the hall seemed to stretch impossibly far away, each step as burdensome as a stone. Suddenly, they stumbled into a dim, large room that felt almost like a throne, but more like a den where nightmares were entertained. In the center stood a giant mirror, the surface swarming like oil, reflecting distorted images of her children, their faces morphed by shadows. "Mommy, look at us," Lily squeaked, reaching out to the dark reflections. "No." Sarah grabbed her, panic surging again. "We don't look at it." But the room deepened with a cloying dread, the air buzzing with the whispers of past players, their unseen forms crystallizing in her mind. Faint cries of despair filled her ears, weaving their sorrow around her like a cocoon. "Noah, Lily, we must go." she urged, voice strained. She turned and pushed against the dark, the fear now igniting a fierce determination. Just then, a loud crack echoed from the mirror. The surface rippled violently, warping into something grotesque. Sarah's heart stopped. She felt it, cold fingers reaching out for her, pulling her back toward the reflection. "Mommy!" They screamed as the shadows coiled tighter around them in the room. "Let go!" she shouted, a primal roar that cut through the terror. She could sense her children slipping. The light flickered behind them, the door narrowing as sinister whispers surged, promising never-ending games if they chose to stay. Would they find a way out, or would the mirror claim them, ensnaring them in its web of shadows forever? Behind her, the voice of Maggie rose in triumphant glee. "You can't leave, not yet. The game has only just begun." The room trembled as Sarah fought against the shadows, their grip tightening with each passing second. The echoes of laughter twisted into wails, drowning out her thoughts. "Noah! Lily!" she cried out, dread suffocating her pleas as she felt their little hands slip through her fingers. "Mommy, help!" Their voices were drowning in the chaos, the fear palpable. In that moment, Sarah's resolve hardened. The voices fused into one, a chorus of malicious sweetness, taunting and beckoning. "Join us!" screaming. She threw her weight against the mirror, desperate to break free from its hold. Just as her palms met the cold glass, an image flashed across its surface, her children's laughing faces enveloped in darkness, their eyes sparkling with unholy glee. The sight almost broke her. "Stop it! Stop!" she bellowed, tears streaming down her face. The laughter escalated, a sinister symphony echoing in her mind. She would not lose them. Not to this evil. With a primal roar, she slammed her fists against the mirror, an act of defiance against the creeping despair. The glass rippled violently, reflecting a distorted scene that twisted her stomach. It was as if the very fabric of reality was tearing apart, warping under the pressure of her love fighting against the malevolence. "Stop!" she screamed again. Just then, the mirror shuddered, as if acknowledging her fear and fury. A crack splintered across the surface. In that fragile moment, a spark of hope ignited within her. If the mirror could crack, perhaps it could break completely. "Hold on to my arms," she said, whipping around to her children. They were still ensnared, reaching for her with eyes wide, pleading. "Don't let go." The darkness hissed angrily. "This will only hurt you," it screeched, but Sarah's heart thudded with fierce determination. "No, I'm not afraid of you," she shouted. She believed in her love for her children. Clenching her hands into fists, she summoned every ounce of courage and slammed her fists once more against the mirror, letting her rage flow. The crack spread, spiderwebbing violently. Suddenly, she felt the cool air shift, a current that pulled back the shadows. It coiled away, twisting and shrinking into the corners of the room. "Go!" she yelled, surging with adrenaline. She lunged for Noah and Lily, clutching them back into her arms. "Now!" she commanded, and they stumbled back, eyes wide in disbelief as the mirror quaked and writhed, the terrifying reflection morphing into faces of anguish, figures of all the children lost before them. The room screamed with a cacophony of voices, both angry and terrified. "You can't escape. You belong to me." But Sarah would not allow fear to shackle her. With her children in her grip, she raced toward the now trembling door, hope blazing in her chest. "We have to hurry." As they dashed through the opening, shadows slithered along the ground, snapping at their heels. Sarah pushed them forward, urging them with every ounce of her strength. But as they stumbled back into the hallway, the giggling voice of Maggie floated through the thick air, chilling Sarah's blood. "You can run, but you'll always have to play forever." Forever. The hallway twisted, each door they passed rattling ominously as if the spirits within were attempting to break free. The laughter marred the silent moments when Sarah dared to breathe, a reminder that they were never truly alone. They rounded another corner, and there it was, a massive wooden door at the end adorned with grotesque symbols that seemed to dance in the poor light. The air thickened, tasted metallic, as if something waited on the other side, hungry for their entry. "Do we go?" Lily whispered, fear lacing her voice. "I don't know," Sarah answered, heart pounding. What lay beyond could be worse than the darkness behind, or a path towards salvation. But one thing was certain: they needed to face what was next. Slowly, hesitantly, she reached for the door's handle, a cold sweat trickling down her spine. The voices began again, this time begging, praying, urgent and desperate. "Open it, open it," they pleaded, drowning out her Resolve. Was this truly their way out, or merely another trap set within their relentless nightmare? Taking a deep breath, Sarah pushed the door, feeling the force of unseen consequences ready to pull them in. As the door creaked open, a shadow flitted past the threshold, and for a moment, the air froze. What waited beyond could change everything, or unravel them completely. As the door creaked wider, a palpable tension draped over Sarah and her children. The shadow flickered, then vanished as an unsteady light spilled from within. It was not just any light. It shimmered like 1,000 fireflies trapped in a storm, desperately trying to escape. And yet, an unsettling chill crept into the air, filling Sarah with foreboding. "Mommy?" Noah's whispers quivered. His small hand slipped into hers, seeking comfort, warmth. Lily clung to Sarah's other side, her wide eyes mirroring the dread clawing at Sarah's heart. "Stay close," she murmured, her voice a brittle thread of determination. Taking a tentative step forward, Sarah felt the floor shift beneath them, almost alive, quaking with reluctant anticipation. It was a warning, an echo of the malicious laughter fading behind them. Inside, the glow pulsed rhythmically, beckoning like a heartbeat. Sarah pushed through, half expecting to be crushed or swallowed whole. Instead, they emerged into a vast, circular room, the walls lined with mirrors, each one different jagged edges, warped surfaces, some cloudy, others reflecting far too clearly. "Where are we?" Lily whispered, glancing around, her voice dampened by the muffled ambience. "Where the lost go," a voice dripped into the air behind them. It was soft, honeyed, carrying an unsettling familiarity that sent shivers racing up Sarah's spine. She spun around, clutching her children tighter. There, at the threshold of the door they had just entered, was a figure draped in shadows. It was a girl, maybe 10 years old, hair disheveled, eyes glinting with dark mischief. "I'm Maggie," she introduced, a smirk playing at the corner of her mouth. "Welcome to our playground." "Noah, Lily, step back," Sarah ordered, her voice trembling. Maggie stepped forward, the shadows entwining around her ankles like loyal pets. She tilted her head, scrutinizing the trio with an unsettling curiosity. "Why do you care for them?" Maggie asked, a tone of mockery tinted with genuine bewilderment. "It's so much more fun to play alone." Sarah's breath quickened, sharp edges of panic pushing through her resolve. "They are mine. I want to let you take them." Maggie chuckled, the sound echoing eerily off the walls. "You think it's that simple? They're already here. They always are." The mirrors began to ripple, images swirling within them like disturbed waters. Faces of other children, nearly forgotten, images steeped in sorrow, reflected back at Sarah. Their eyes reached for her, wide and pleading. "Help us," they whispered in a haunted symphony, drowning her in their despair. "No," she gasped, the gravity of understanding hitting her. They were trapped, like Noah and Lily could soon be. "Join us," Maggie urged, her grin spreading until it broke into a jagged smile. "It's fun." "No, you're wrong," Sarah shouted. Desperation seeped into her words. She spun around, gripping her children tighter, their faces pinched in fear. The mirrors pulsed, shadows clawing at the edges of her vision, swallowing the light she had seen. "Maggie, leave them alone," she cried, tears blurring her vision as she felt her body tense with the weight of hopelessness crashing over her. Suddenly, from the depths of the room, a gust of cold air swept through, making the mirrors rattle. The faces wavered, twisted in anguish and fury, as a furious whisper rippled through them all. "You can't take them. They belong to the darkness." "Mommy, what do we do?" Noah's voice trembled, rising above the chaos. "Hold on. We fight," she yelled, the very ground under them rumbling in response. The mirrors began to resonate, creating a sinister harmony as they betrayed muffled laughter from all corners, echoes of those who had succumbed to despair. Each giggle sank its claws deeper into her heart. Maggie stepped forward, a wicked glimmer sparking in her eyes. "You can't resist forever. You're new here, but soon you'll see it's all about the fun." With a final surge of determination, Sarah clutched Noah and Lily's hands tight, feeling their warmth grounding her in the midst of the encroaching shadows. "We will get out of this." Her voice broke through, a beacon of defiance sparking in defiance of Maggie's sinister promises. But as she stood there, Defiant yet frightened, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the true horror was only beginning. The shadows moved closer, whispers merging into a single, monstrous cry. And just like that, everything dissolved into darkness, leaving them teetering on the edge of despair, caught in the web of terror surrounding them. What lies beyond that darkness? Sarah wondered as the shadows whispered her name. Sarah's heart raced as the darkness closed in, the whispers morphing into guttural chants. Dread coiled tightly around her chest. She could feel it tightening, the shadows tangling about her feet, chilling her to the bone. Noah and Lily squeezed her hands, their small bodies trembling like leaves in a storm. "Maggie, stop," Noah pleaded, his voice breaking through the thick fog of hopelessness. The girl's shadowy form twisted, her features flickering in and out like a malfunctioning light. "They don't understand," Maggie sang, and the mirrors pulsed in chorus. "But soon, they will love it here, just like I do." "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily cried, her innocence tearing through the haze, sounding like a bell in the dark. "Stay close," Sarah shouted, her voice rising against the echoing laughter. "We're stronger together." But another gust of cold air rushed in, pushing against Sarah as if intent on separating them. The walls of mirrors started to shake, cracking as images of forgotten children rushed to the surface, their mouths opening in silent screams, their eyes glassy with despair. They reached out through the reflections, hands scraping against the fogged glass, desperately trying to escape the relentless grip of the place. "Come play with us," their voices murmured, intertwined with the laughter of Maggie, a seductive melody that wrapped around Sarah like a noose. "We can have so much fun now," Sarah yelled, pressing her palms against her ears, desperate to block out the terror. The mirrors trembled violently now, images warping, breathing distorted life into their reflections. She felt the floor quaking beneath her as if it were alive, shifting while trying to swallow them whole. "Mommy, help." Noah's terrified voice sliced through the mesmerizing chaos, and Sarah forced her eyes open in a surge of adrenaline. Sarah pulled her children closer, trying to shield them from the encroaching darkness. "Look, we need to find a way out. We can't let them win." Escape. Maggie turned her head, feigning innocence, her eyes sparkling with malevolence. "There is no escape. You're already shackled to the fun." Suddenly, the mirrors exploded outward in a shower of shards, glittering shards raining down like deadly confetti. Sarah ducked, instinctively shielding her children as the jagged pieces sliced into the air around them. "Mommy," Lily cried as Sarah felt a sharp sting on her arm. "Stay down," Sarah shouted, adrenaline blasting through her, grounding her instincts. She forced herself to look up, staring into the eyes of the girl who seemed to revel in the chaos. The smirk on Maggie's face twisted, and for a brief moment, Sarah saw something deeper, something dark and hungry lurking beneath that playful facade. "Shards of the past," Maggie said, spinning around the room. "Just a taste of what awaits you. Want to join the others?" "No," Sarah yelled again, struggling to stand, her voice rising from the fear crawling inside her veins. "You want to take them. We'll find a way." But there was an unsettling glimmer in the girl's eyes, an eerie triumph blooming behind her shadowy veil. "That's cute, Mommy," Maggie said mockingly, beckoning to the twisting figures in the mirrors. "But the real game is just beginning." The darkness surged, coiling around Sarah and her children. Voices rose in a chaotic crescendo, drowning any sense of hope. And then, just as suddenly, everything went still. A hush fell over them, suffocating and thick, whispering with secrets long buried. Sarah took a shaky breath, scanning the obscured space. The mirrors seemed to simmer, anticipation poised, and for a fleeting moment, Sarah thought she caught her reflection staring back wild-eyed and haggard. The children shifted, alert beside her, eyes wide with fear. Then the darkness fell away like a curtain, revealing a new chamber, one larger, even more twisted. "What is happening?" Sarah murmured, panic washing over her as fear gnawed at her insides. And in that instant, a new, terrifying thought struck her. Were they trapped in this haunted playground forever, or was there a way to fight back? "Maggie," she called, her voice firm yet trembling. "We're not afraid of you." But the only answer was the low hum of the fractured mirrors, reflecting not just their faces but their deepest fears, entwined together in a web they couldn't begin to understand. And just as Sarah felt that spark of hope flicker again, a deeper shadow loomed closer, looming like an unseen predator ready to strike. What truly awaited them in this encroaching darkness? What kind of games did Maggie really play in this haunted landscape? The chamber was more extensive than Sarah had anticipated, its dimensions bending in ways that defied logic. Stretched shadows seemed to dance along the walls, taunting her with depths she couldn't fathom. The mirrors, now scattered like broken promises, pulsed with a low, ominous rhythm that mirrored the rising dread in her chest. Noah and Lily clung to her tightly, their breaths quick and shallow, a hypnotic echo of the tension tightening around them. "What happens now?" she whispered, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "Mommy, it's colder," Noah stammered, shivering visibly. Before Sarah could respond, laughter spilled from the shadows, climbing over the walls like an invading force. It was a sound that twisted joy into nightmare, wrapping around their hearts like icy vines. The feet of ghostly children flickered at the edge of her vision, darting in and out of darkness, their laughter unearthing memories from long ago. "Welcome to the game." Maggie's voice ricocheted around the chamber, sounding both distant and close, bright yet dark. The air felt electric, charged with something dangerously alive. Suddenly, the walls began to shift, undulating as if breathing. A sliding door emerged, slick and sleek, framed in shadows that whispered secrets only they could hear. The way it moved sent a fresh wave of panic through Sarah. "No, we need to stick together," she shouted. Maggie's laughter danced through the air once more, this time dripping with malice. "But there's only one way out," she sing-songed. "Let us see who's brave enough to play without warning." A barrage of visions flooded Sarah's mind. The hidden faces of children lost in the mirrors, their distorted expressions, pleading eyes forever trapped. She felt the walls closing in as shadows pressed against her chest, squeezing the breath from her lungs. It was suffocating. "Mommy," Lily's voice cut through the haze, sharp and clear as glass. "I don't want to play. I want to go home." Sarah's heart shattered at her daughter's plea, yet something ignited within her, fire igniting in the pit of despair. "We will get out," she declared, resolve hardening her tone. "We'll break the game." With each passing second, the shadows seemed to pulse with uncertainty. She knew they were feeding off her fear. She squared her shoulders and marched toward the sliding door, dragging her children along as whispers coaxed her into submission, promising safety and surrender. "Stay behind me," she urged, determination pumping through her veins like a heartbeat. The door beckoned, glowing faintly against the darkness. Her hand gripped the handle, hesitating only for the briefest instant. She could feel the weight of endless eyes upon her, whispering doubts and fears. "You can't leave," they chanted, the darkness thickening. Maggie's form twisted behind them, her figure becoming more feral, eyes glinting with predatory hunger. "Too late," she screeched, the air crackling with her delight. "You're already part of this world." Heart racing, Sarah swung the door open. The hinges cried out like tortured souls, unveiling a blinding light that momentarily pushed back the shadows. But when she stepped through, the light flickered and dimmed, revealing a new space, a twisted playground, adorned with rusted swings swaying in an unseen wind, merry-go-rounds that spun on their own, tainted laughter reverberating off the warped metal. "Where are we?" Noah whimpered, eyes wide with terror. "No," Sarah gasped, taking a step back. "This can't be real." The playground shifted, forming amusement rides that morphed into grotesque figures, clowns with gaping mouths, eyes leaking shadows. Laughter twisted into screams that surged and receded like a tide of despair. "Maggie, this was your game all along," Sarah shouted, panic brewing into rage. She focused, summoning all the strength she had left. "Show us what you really are." In answer, the scene warped violently, the ground trembling beneath them. Shadows surged, swirling to form monstrous figures, their eyes hollow, mouths gaping wide with a hunger that chilled Sarah to her bones. What awaited? Beyond the threshold of that darkened playground? Had Sarah opened a door to a deeper nightmare, or was this the moment she would reclaim her strength? The children stood behind her, scared but resolute. But mere moments later, the ground cracked beneath them, a low rumble filling the air, like a beast awakening. What shadows lay hidden beneath their feet? What other horrors thrived in the darkness? The world around Sarah warped and twisted, the playground shifting from twisted metal to a gnarled forest of despair. As grotesque laughter echoed among the trees that loomed like giants, Sarah felt a wave of desperation wash over her. She barred the darkness from consuming her resolve, channeling every ounce of love for her children. "We are not toys in your game," she shouted, voice breaking through the sinister sounds. Noah held tight to her hand, trembling with fear, while Lily clung to her other side. "Mommy, I want to go home," Lily whimpered, eyes darting around, filled with raw uncertainty. "It's okay, sweetie," Sarah whispered, determination hardening her resolve. "We will get out of here. Together." She felt the shadows pulse around them, hungry for her children, eager to sap away their happiness. Suddenly, Maggie's laughter crescendoed, the childish glee morphing into something dire. "You think you can escape? You've already chosen this game." Her shadowy form flickered, a malicious grin stretching wider. "You're mine." Therapy with each breath. Sarah felt the fear constrict around her heart, yet it ignited an insatiable fire within her as well. "No, you don't own us." She stood firmly, defiance radiating from her as the shadows attempted to encroach. Echoing through her mind were the cries of other children, lost to Maggie's relentless pull. A gray mist seeped from the trees, creeping toward her children. "Mommy, help!" Noah yelled, his voice a thread of panic woven tightly with her own anxiety. But in the face of Maggie's fascination with horror, the memories of laughter filled Sarah's heart. "Hold on tight," she shouted, squeezing her kids' hands tighter. She began to run, with adrenaline fueling her movement through the twisted shadows. "We're strong. Together." As they sprinted, the darkness shifted and writhed, forming claws and teeth, grasping at the air, trying to intercept them. Twisted trees swayed ominously, their branches stretching and curling like sinister fingers, but Sarah did not waver. "Keep moving. We're not stopping." Gritting her teeth, determination surged within Sarah, battling against the suffocating dread that rose from the ground. They barreled forward, finding flickers of light ahead, a tiny, feeble glow breaking through the nearby trees. Chasing that light, they raced closer, shadows roaring in fury. "Mommy, I can't," Lily gasped, the fear palpable in her raw voice. "Don't think. Just hold on to my hand," Sarah cried, pushing through the rising tide of despair. They surged forward toward the light, breathing raggedly, every ounce of strength focused on moving. But just as they reached the threshold of the glow, a spectral hand lashed out from the dark, wrapping around Sarah's ankle, yanking her to the ground. "You can't leave," Maggie shrieked, eyes gleaming with witch-like glee as the shadows swirled excitedly. "Mommy!" Noah screamed, eyes wide, panic gripping him. With a roar of defiance, Sarah fought against the shrieking shadows, willing all of her love to their entwined hands. "No, you want to take them." With one sharp twist, she pulled free, feeling the grip of despair loosen, shadows receding slightly in surprise. It was her moment, the moment to take control. The bond of family is stronger than your darkness. With renewed determination, she charged towards the flickering light ahead, the warmth bathing them like a protective shield. The malevolent laughter dipped, faltering against her fierce will. As they reached the light, Sarah felt an overwhelming surge of warmth envelop them. They were enveloped in a radiant glow. The forest shrunk back, shadows darting into the depths of darkness. Suddenly, they emerged into an expansive open field, bathed in early morning sunlight, bright and forgiving. Her heart soared as they stepped from the twilight into the dawn, the oppressive weight of darkness lifting from their souls. Noah and Lily gasped in disbelief, looking around as if emerging from a nightmare. "Are we free?" Lily asked, her small voice filled with awe as she bathed in the warmth of dawn. "We made it," Sarah breathed, tears of relief spilling down her cheeks. They hugged tightly, filling their hearts with the warmth of their newly reclaimed freedom. The whisper of danger faded behind them, the haunting laughter melting into a distant echo. "Mommy, is Maggie really gone?" Noah asked, glancing back nervously. "She was never stronger than our love," Sarah promised, looking down at her children. "As long as we stand together, nothing can tear us apart." And as they turned to walk away from their haunted past, hand in hand, the shadows behind them faded. This was their moment of triumph, the dawn of new hope. "It is time to start fresh," Sarah said, her voice steady. "A new beginning, just us." They walked toward the horizon, hearts lightening with hope, as the sun painted the sky above, chasing away the last remnants of darkness. For Sarah, there would always be a lurking fear, but she understood now. Love would always be brighter than the shadows that haunted them. Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this final chapter and want to see more gripping stories just like this, you need to subscribe right now. Don't miss out on exclusive tales that will send shivers down your spine. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so we can grow even more. Flood the comments below with your thoughts and reactions to the ending because I want to hear what you think. And don't forget to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Trust me, you won't regret it.